Welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. Um, Lennox Lewis has said that he feels Oleksandr Usyk should retire now. Get out while you're on top. He's kind of completed boxing. That's really what Lennox was saying. If you want his exact quotes, this was on the Ring Magazine's website. He said, I would say to him, Usyk, to retire at your own time, but retire on top like I did. When a guy retires, it's really down to him. He's got to feel that push that he wants to retire. But he can teach a lot of young boxers to do a lot of different things: dedication, hard work, sacrifice, because he's been through that. It's definitely the hardest thing to do, retirement, because you basically want to be the best in boxing and take all your belts for yourself and be the number one guy. There's always other boxers out there that don't want you to achieve that. They're standing by. They want to beat you. They want to be the first boxer to beat you. That's why you've got to make sure you retire on top. And of course, Lennox retired in 2003 after a cuts win over Vitaly Klitschko. He knocked out the shell of Mike Tyson, and it really was the shell of Mike Tyson. That was in 2002, and he avenged his knockout loss to Hasim Rahman brilliantly. To me, that was Lennox's most impressive victory, because he was coming off a knockout loss to Rahman, and for him to go straight back in there. In fact, he had to take Rahman to court to get him back in the ring, because he was in danger of doing a bunk, and Don King was trying to lure Rahman away. I think he did lure him away with the usual suitcase routine full of money. What Don does is, if he wants someone to sign with him, he'll give him a suitcase full of money, say that's yours. He did the same thing with Rahman, and Rahman was trying to swerve the Lennox rematch, but Lennox went to court, enforced the rematch clause, and then knocked out Rahman a round quicker than he himself had been knocked out. So I think that was a really impressive victory for Lennox. But anyway, I'm digressing. Now, Usyk has been out because of a back injury, supposed back injury, since he knocked out Dubois in July. There was some dispute over this, because there were pictures of him, not pictures, but video of him dancing, doing some sort of, looked like Cossack dancing, but I'm not an expert on these matters. And also he was playing football. And he's also in a movie, I think, with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. It's called The Smashing Machine. I haven't seen it. Is it out yet? I think he's been filming it. I don't think it's out yet. But anyway, getting back to what Lennox was saying, I think Lennox has got a point. Lennox, he was beaten twice by knockout, but he avenged both those defeats with stoppage wins. And he got out, and he is considered to be the best of that era. By a lot of people. Some would say Holyfield. Tyson in the 90s was pretty much, the game was up for him. He still had enough left to pick up belts and beat most people, but he was certainly past his best. And I think that Lennox retiring when he did was a very good thing. Now, there are fighters who are all-time greats and don't retire and go on way, way, way too long. Way too long. The obvious example is Roy Jones Jr., who fought 15 years beyond when he should have retired. And he damaged his legacy, because people look at those 10 defeats on his record, which is an unbelievable amount when you consider how good he was in his prime. And a lot of younger people don't even realise how good he was, because there were 10 defeats, 5 by stoppage. He can't have been that good. Oh, yes, he was. In the 90s, he was an astonishing fighter. Probably the best I've seen in my lifetime, although he does have a black mark against him for failing a PD test, but then a lot of them did. James Toney's another one who failed a PD test, as an example. Some of them didn't get caught. I think probably Holyfield was juicing. He didn't get caught. Pacquiao certainly was. He didn't get caught. Juan Manuel Marquez was probably on drugs, some sort of PEDs. He didn't get caught. So anyway, I'm digressing. But if you look at Roy Jones, an incredible fighter, fought too long and damaged his legacy. Let's say Usyk let's say that Usyk, carries on. He beats, I don't know, should we say the winner of Parker and Fabio Wardley? Let's say he beats the winner of them. Let's say he picks up another couple of victories. Okay. Yes, it would add to his legacy. Of course it would. But would it add to it? Well, let's put it this way: is the risk worth it? The risk of being defeated, if there is a risk, you may think, well, there isn't a risk of Usyk losing to anyone in the modern game. He is so ahead of the others. That's one view. But let's say he was to lose, would it take away from his legacy? I think quite possibly, yeah. And timing where retirement is concerned is a real art. I mean, it's very difficult to know when to retire because you may still feel that you can do what you did before, without realizing it. You know, physically you're diminishing, or maybe you're a step behind what you used to be. Mentally, you might think, "Oh, I'm as good as I always was," and you may believe that until you get beaten. You know. Because I remember Jones saying after he lost a few times, just before the Calzaghe fight, he'd been knocked out by Tarver, he'd been knocked out by Glenn Johnson. He said, "I am still the man. I'm still the man." You know, you're not, mate. You're not. You're not. You weren't then. And I mean, he would carry on for years after the Calzaghe fight. But he's saying, "I'm still the man." To others who were looking in objectively, it was not. He wasn't the man. He was pretty much done at top level. So Usyk, should he retire now? Look, I love watching the guy. I don't particularly want him to retire, but you don't know, do you? You know, it's totally subjective. And if you're a fighter, sometimes you have to get it knocked out of you. Sometimes you have to get that desire drained from you by other people, by losing a few times. I mean, another fantastic fighter who carried on for way too long was Matthew Saad Muhammad. Had some of the most incredible light heavyweight fights up and down. He's like a light heavyweight Arturo Gatti. He carried on for way too long, was getting beaten, stopped by people who he'd have smashed around in his prime. I don't want to see Usyk go out that way. I think Lewis may have a point here, but you may disagree. And if you do disagree, just let me know. Just, you know, as usual, comments below. Anyway, look, thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please hit the like button and come and join us. It takes a second to hit that subscribe button. Cost you nothing and you're helping us out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and bye for now.